Social Studies Games.us, Unit 6, Video 5, as always based on the AP US History Guidelines. I can list the Populist Party's platform. A platform is simply the list of this political party's ideas or beliefs or their goals. So a platform is a list. And you can see this if you go to Hillary Clinton's website, if you go to Donald Trump's website, you go to Barack Obama's website, you got to go through time to look at that again. Or if you look at Joe Biden's website, they'll have their platform. And it says, bullet point, here's what we believe, here's what I want, here are my goals. We're going to go back in time 100 years from now, over 100 years ago, and look at the Populist Party and what was their platform, what was their goals, what did they say? Here, if you vote for us, this is what we're going to do. I want you to be able to define initiatives, I want you to define referendums, and I want you to define a recall. And then last, describe the debate over gold and silver. We're not going to get into that in this video. That is a really tough topic. It will be in the next video. These are known as the forgettable administrations. Rutherford B. Hayes, James Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, and then Grover Cleveland again gets elected, and not really much happens. And if your AP guidelines say that not much happens, then congratulations. You don't have to learn anything about these guys. It won't be on the test. If I throw out some stuff for you, James Garfield gets assassinated by a guy because he didn't give the dude a job. So that's always cool. I guess after 100 years, we can kind of joke around about it. But if I would have told that, laughed about that 100 years ago, probably would have been fired. Maybe you still get fired for that today. An interesting thing, though, they invented an X-ray. They invented the X-ray to try to find the bullet. They couldn't get the bullet out of him. He dies a month later. And then eventually, Alexander Graham Bell invents the X-ray, or actually not the X-ray, a metal detector. He invents the metal detector just for this specific cause. They're unable to get the bullet out of him, and he dies from the infection. But now we've got metal detectors, so that's pretty cool. What else? Grover Cleveland is the first Democrat that gets elected as a president. You think, well, so what? Well, that's kind of a big deal because it was the Democrats that were pro-slavery. It was the Democrats that seceded prior to the Civil War. He is the first Democrat since before the Civil War to become president. That's a big deal. The Democrats, that was the South. Those were the pro-slave states. They fought a war against America and they lost. And afterwards, in Reconstruction, most of those Democrats had their voting rights taken away, had their rights to hold office taken away. We're talking about what, 40 years? Well, not 40 years, 20 years. It takes 20 years for a Democrat to finally become elected president again. So you're probably saying, well, that's a big change. Yeah, right. Do you know anything about the U.S. government? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, nothing really changes. They think that, if we're going to elect a Democrat, this guy's going to be pro-worker, he's going to be pro-farmer, and all these fat cat robber barons and all these monopolies and the railroads and the banks, we're finally going to shut them down because we finally got a Democrat again. Yeah, right. Same old, nothing changes. Just like today, you may be politically active and you might have your heart set on one guy. Maybe you're Yang Gang and you're rooting for somebody to be elected president. And you said, this guy's going to change everything. And then he gets elected. Maybe he will get elected. And then you're like, yes, everything's going to be awesome. And nothing changes. And then a really bad guy gets elected president. You're like, oh, God, the world's going to end. And nothing changes. Come on, folks. There's a ruling elite in this country. Forgettable administrations. The platform. So the Populist Party, their platform, they want. I'm going to give you the whole list. I'm going to explain it over the next several videos. Unlimited coinage of silver. They want a bunch of silver coins. What does that do? I'll explain it in the upcoming videos of why that is important. They want a graduated income tax. What does that mean? I'll explain it in the upcoming videos. Also part of their platform, government subsidies to farmers. What is a subsidy, man? I don't get any of this. I know, they're using funky language. Well, they're using regular language. And as you become a social studies scholar, you'll be completely familiar with these things because you really need to know what a subsidy is if you want to be a successful American citizen or if you plan on voting anytime soon. 8-hour work. Okay, you get that one. All right, cool. Thank goodness they gave us a simple one there. And then direct election of senators, another thing that we take for granted. None of these things really existed then. What's he doing on my screen? Well, guess what? He is a modern populist. He and Bernie Sanders are very similar in that a lot of their proposed wishes, a lot of their platforms were proposals aimed at helping directly the populists. The populists, where we get the Populist Party. And what is the populists? It's the people. And if people want immigration change, then he does it for the people. And if the people want trade barriers that protect American jobs, then that's what he does. And if the people want health care, as Bernie Sanders has argued, then that's what he does. He is a populist. He listens to the people and tries to do what serves the regular everyday man. Supposedly, in theory, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump want to pass laws and build their platform around rules and regulations and laws that help the regular everyday people, which we call the populists, not the bankers, not the rich guys and the investors on Wall Street, and not the owners of industry or the captains of industry or other political cronies. Their job is to represent the everyday man. Again, this is all in theory. This is all what we are told. But does it ever really happen? We shall see. So if you just had an aneurysm because Donald Trump was on your screen, then you just need to chill out a little bit. You're taking some of this stuff a little too seriously. We're just trying to pass some history tests. You don't have to go all in on social studies. Maybe it's just not your thing. And maybe if it is your thing, you need to dial it down. Populists. So we talk about unlimited coinage of silver. They want the Populist Party, and the people in that political party want more silver coins. Basically what we're saying is, or what they were saying is, we need more money. And you've probably thought that to yourself too. If I just had more money, my life would be better. If I had more money, I could buy more things. And if I bought more things, they would make more things. And if they make more things, then they'll hire more workers. And they have more workers with more money. And look, it really works out that way. So just make more money. That's kind of, actually, it doesn't work that way. It's much more complex. And that's why I will go into that in the next video of you can't just make more money or print more money or issue out more silver coins. You just can't do that. But you can do it a little bit. You can increase the money supply somewhat. Let's explain what they had in mind. If the government would simply just issue more silver coins or put more money in circulation, basically that's going to go through the banks, but eventually it will be loaned out. It'll go to businesses. It'll go to people. But eventually, when the government prints more money, eventually when the government issues more coins, that money is going to find its way into the hands of consumers. It's going to find its way into your pocket. And from your pocket, you spend it at the store. You buy goods. Whatever you buy, the supplier, McDonald's and cheeseburgers, GameStop with PlayStation 4s, whatever it is you buy, they will have to make more cheeseburgers. They will have to make more PlayStation 4s. They will have to make more guitars. They will have to make more trucks, whatever it is. That happens when you buy goods. And when you buy more, the factory has to make more, and that means they need to hire more workers. And then that means we have more people with money in their pocket. And then this guy on here, he decides, well, now I got money, and I'm going to spend my money too. And when he spends money, then we get another worker. And when we get another worker, he spends more money, and it all goes up and up. And then everybody's got money, and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. That guy's, even she's happy. He's happy. We're all happy. And it all happens when you make more money. Now, it's not that easy, because if you're listening and say, I get it. It makes sense. That is an awesome idea. Why doesn't the government just print more money? And I know you've had that thought. Just print more money. We will talk about that in the next video, the problems you're going to run into with that. But you get that so far. The next goal of the populist, a graduated income tax. First issue that I need to settle with you is when I talk about a tax or taxes, it's not the money that you get in January or that you received in April. That is not what taxes are. That is income tax season when you have probably given too much money to the government already. You have already given too much money to the government already. As you get older, and when you start getting a job, and to the people that are listening that already have a job, and this is pretty pedantic and ridiculous to hear, I am sorry, I apologize to you that you have your money taken out of your pocket and that you have to then have me explain it to you. But for a middle school student or a 9th grade or 10th grade student who doesn't have a job and has never been taxed yet and doesn't realize how terrible, terrible, terrible this world is, I have to explain it to them. So you get a paycheck, and in that paycheck, a little bit is taken out. Actually, a lot of it is taken out. That is your income, the money you earn. There's a tax on your income. Basically, the government says if you earn $10, the government's going to need 3 of those. You can keep 7, but the government's going to take 3. That's not fair. That's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. Well, there's always been taxes. There hasn't always been an income tax, which might surprise some people. Wait a second. There was a time where they didn't take our income? Yes, there was. But those days are gone, long gone. Get used to it. When you earn money, you bring money in, they're going to take some of that money out. Just the way it is. Now, the Populists said, all right, we got an income tax, but what we want is a graduated income. You've heard of graduate, when you go on to something else, or gradual, meaning to go up slowly but surely, to increase. A graduated income tax means this. This guy makes $40,000 a year. 20% of that, he is taxed at a rate of 20%. And if I did the calculation, beep, boop, bop, boop, boop, in my calculator, that's $8,000 that the government is going to take from him. They take it out of every single paycheck. Now, some people get taxed at the end of the year. Either way, he works all year. He keeps $32,000, and then $8,000 must go to the government. That's an income tax. Now, a graduated income tax is what the populists were arguing for 100 years ago, and what some modern-day populists, like Bernie Sanders, are arguing for today. Now, this is not the Trump populists. The Trump populists are not arguing for a graduated income, but the socialist left Democrats are and have always been since this day. And we have had graduated income taxes in the past. We have. This is something that has existed and has gone away and has existed. So during this time period, the populists are saying this is what we want. This person earns more monies. And so the theory is by the populists is that if you're earning more monies, then you can afford to pay a little bit more. And you'll notice that this guy's got a 25%. He pays more in taxes. He has a larger tax rate because he can afford it. He's got more monies. And so technically he ends up paying $15,000. He still takes home $45,000. Hey, whatever. Some people say that's smart. That's great. And then we go at this guy. He's rich. And so we hit him with a 50% income tax, a graduated income tax. And we've had much higher. We've had graduated income taxes of almost 90% in this country. He gets hit with a 50%. That means he makes $1 million this year. The government takes $1 million. We can argue all day about this, and we can go over the scientific facts. We can go over the actual